This video is sponsored by Secret Cat Forest. Sonic 2 released yesterday here in the UK, though I hear you've still got a week to wait in the US. So here's an alternative option for you all. It's the cancelled Sonic movies. I know it's a running gag to mention how Sonic had such a rough translation to 3D, but getting on the big screen was an effort foiled multiple times. So we're gonna talk about it today. Thank you to the Nostalgia Teen 64, Jared and Terry for suggesting this, and Fast Isaiah and R War Club contributing notes in the Discord channel. As usual, sources are linked down in the description. Starting off, we're jumping right the way back to 1993 with a movie titled Sonic the Hedgehog, Wonders of the World. With Sonic literally just being 2 years old, the variety of source material was much more limited back here, but the prowess of the character still had a monumental presence on television screens. In game form, we had just Sonic 1 and 2 and CD, but in TV show form, we already had 2 adaptations with The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as Sonic the Hedgehog. That's not confusing to follow at all. This is the one I hear all sorts of people raving about from time to time. It's the one with Sally in it. Sat AM, I believe it's called. I know the former much better. This is my Sally.
Why don't you float down a river and get lost at sea?
But before we begin sprinting off at high speeds, let's slow down for a second for Secret Cat Forest. This is a mobile app game all about chilling you out, with cats. Cats come out to play when you turn on the game. Secret Cat Forest isn't a stressful, tiring game, rather a healing, calming game instead. And non-violent too, of course. Design your own cat home with craftable furniture to lure new cat visitors and collect as many as you can. There are dozens of adorable kitties for you to influence atop these beautiful animated backgrounds with a real-time day-night cycle to boot. Plus, you can expand your home with secret floors, if you know how to get them. You need to craft the long ladder and the golden cushion. The first 200 people to install the game and enter code DazzReviews will receive 2,000 wood and 4 cans of fish in-game. So be sure to check the link down in the description to get ahead of the crowd. Otherwise, let's return to the frantically fast-paced. Anyway, this rendition of Sonic the Hedgehog also sparked the very freshly new creation of the comics, Sonic the Hedgehog. These are actually known as the Archie comics, so at least I can follow that. With 290 issues to their name by the end, their first full-length issue of the comic was published in July 1993. So it's all just coming to a head back here. So what do they do with such an open prompt with all of this potential? Well, production-wise, our main protagonist is Michaelan Risley, the freshly appointed consumer products director at SEGA of America, previously handling work for Disney, Amblin, and Mattel, and as vice president of production for Marvel's animation unit, until hired here. Now, she is a powerhouse at SEGA, coming in when SEGA was at less than 4% market share, creating the SEGA Task Force to address lost opportunities of creating games for girls, and expanding the female market share from 3% to 20% when she left 2 years later. She and her team are the reason Sonic the Hedgehog turned around into a billion-dollar consumer products brand. Anyway, she turned around in 1993 and pitched the idea of a Sonic the Hedgehog movie to several Hollywood producers. I was basically driving the Sonic movie. I don't know who came up with the idea, whether it was Tom or Shinobu or me, or we talked about it as a group, but having come from the movie world, I was always pushing those things. And the boardroom seemed pretty split on the idea, with the SEGA of America CEO Tom Kalinske being wary of damaging the brand. Understandably so, as in the 90s, video game movies were just starting and they weren't so hot. Tom himself even cited Street Fighter and Super Mario Bros. As big examples of why this is such a bad idea. Also, Masters of the Universe damaging their toy line too. Stating later in interviews, there really is that fear that a bad movie could potentially hurt your brand. The Sonic brand was strong enough to probably withstand it, but there is that fear. SEGA was enthusiastic anyway, and so development began during the production of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was also airing at the same time as the other Sonic the Hedgehog show. Can you believe that they successfully managed to broadcast 2 Sonic shows at the same time? Or that the company commandeering the adventure show was literally called Geek? My goodness. Anyway, by August 1994, SEGA struck a development deal, co-producing alongside MGN and Trilogy Entertainment Group, and crew members started coming together. enter Richard Jeffries, an associate of Risley from her old Marvel comic days. He was set with the task of drafting up a treatment for the entire film, and had some crossover tick boxes to also tackle, as during the year 1994, SEGA was doing things in the gaming sphere. Wow, what a surprise! As they were developing Sonic X-treme. You seen this gameplay before? Yeah, you've probably seen this footage before. A great sign, as you may know now, this game was never released, but nobody knew in 1994, and it was set for Sega's very next console, the Sega Saturn. And this movie was the perfect opportunity to be a tie-in with the new game and console. Try to coordinate the two and make the two compatible, as Jeffries described it. I don't know why he speaks like that. So, loop around to May 1995, and Jeffries submitted his idea, and it goes in some weird directions. Remember that one time the Game Grunts reacted to strange Sonic comics?
Sonic in your face. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, this is basically that. Sonic comes careening out of the TV screen at one point. I'll give you the quick synopsis, as there's actually like 700 words of description. This doesn't follow a sheriff man in his 30s, it follows a 12-year-old kid. And yes, this was a live-action animated hybrid, describing the two would-be friends as 3D guys in the real world. Would be interesting to see how that tech would have worked out in the 90s, but apparently Jeffries checked with my friends in the visual effects industry, and we figured out a way to make it more practical to make CG characters in the real world. So, it may be our real reality, though the kid's reality's not the greatest. Being hounded by his teacher for not finishing his essay on Sonic the Pilot, who apparently died breaking the speed barrier? This never comes back. And at home, his parents are divorced, but there's a silver lining. Josh, the kid's name is Josh, has a dad who's invented the XRI, an artificial intelligence computer. And after plugging a Sega Saturn and playing Sonic X-treme into it, Sonic comes jumping out of the screen and into the real world, followed by Eggman. And hijinks ensue. The apartment gets trashed, they run along rooftops, wrecking all the cars in traffic and scaring little girls on the street. Also, Sonic is progressively getting weaker the longer he stays in reality. The Chaos Emerald is what's needed to bring Sonic his energy back, and they exist in the real world, hidden in rocks. Is it really going to be an easy task excavating all of... Meanwhile, Eggman has set up an amusement park, Botnik Land, and plans to use the Chaos Emeralds to take over the world. With capitalism. Also turning humans into bully bots, but is a minor thing. Sonic and Josh get the emeralds and trace back to Eggman and discover that he can use the XRI to digitize the wonders of the world. Hey, it's the title. Like Mount Everest and the Amazon rainforest. Also, he's making a virtual reality ride. Ever the entertainer, I guess. And everything at the park is free. All because it turns out kids who ride the ride are actually turned into robotic slaves, like all the animals in the classic Sonic games. By the way, since you've reached the halfway mark, do consider subscribing, or check out all of our other links. Alright, moving on. And these newly named Kinda Bot kids are complete nightmare fuel. See, they will return home to their houses, right? And do everything their parents say. They'd even go so far as to eating all their veggies and doing their homework too. Disgusting! Josh, of course, is horrified and uses Sonic as bait to lure Eggman back into Sonic X-treme, but also gets sucked in himself. Sounds like a win-win to me. And here the final showdown takes place. Sonic and Josh versus Eggman. And somehow the two heroes win. Josh goes through the vortex back to the real world and Sonic stays behind to continue to fight Eggman. The dad puts away the XRI, stating it's too dangerous and unsafe to ever use again, and the film ends with a cheeky wink from Sonic before returning to his business in Sonic X-treme. Never to be seen again in reality, or reality. I tell you what, that's not an awful plot. I always liked the archaic story of entrapment inside of a robot from the early games, and teaming up with a kid makes a lot more sense than an adult. And it worked for Sonic X. Man, now that show was my childhood. And I think the biggest gripe would have been the actual format. I mean, Extreme Sonic looks pretty choppy being so early 3D, so translating that to live action would be tough. And you know, the draft was received pretty positively among MGN and Sega executives. However, there was one naysayer, the Sega COO, Shinobu Toyoda, who suggested Kalinske replace Robotnik with a meaner villain instead. Why? Well, because they thought that the story being about Sonic fighting Robotnik would be not new to Sonic fans. What a terrible idea. Kayleen Risley didn't agree, of course. She's the powerhouse of SEGA, stating, Robotnik was a great villain in the animated series and the games, and Richard Jeffries agreed, but speculated that they were probably trying to develop a new bad guy for the games. And soon enough, MGN pulled out, cancelling the project where it stood. Jeffries was given permission to shop the script around, and he contacted DreamWorks about animating it, but since SEGA wanted a large sum of money for the rights to the character, and DreamWorks wanted to use a low-priced idea to breathe new life into, they weren't interested. Why MGM dropped out in the first place? I've heard several excuses from different sources, so who knows? Some say it was SEGA and MGM demanding a higher share of the profits, like 75%, while Penders, who are you? Oh, executive producer of the whole thing, alright, said it followed creative differences between SEGA and Trilogy. It could have also been from the troubles brewing from the decline of the 16-bit console market, or the crazy budget of $150 million at a guess. All sorts of conflicts were abound. I don't know when exactly it happened, but I got a call from my agent to say MGN and SEGA couldn't come to an agreement on a corporate level that would work for them. It wasn't gonna work out, and they were gonna pay me off, and I thought, gee, that's too bad.
That's no good.
Because it's a really good idea. And so it was cancelled in 1995 before production could even begin, as was Sonic X-treme. But that's not the end of the Sonic movie saga, as there were more. Much less detailed than this example, so let's jump ahead to the year 1996. Seriously, just one more year? This one's a technicality, as in Japan there were a couple OVA episodes released with this very aesthetically pleasing Sonic design. And eventually in 1999, North America got their release of it, with the OVAs bunched together and packaged as Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. Actually released and enjoyable too. Sweet. But it's not the real deal. So now we reach the early 2000s and the 2002 project. And now we have a new protagonist of our story, the one Ben Hurst. Writer for both SatAM and Sonic Underground. Man, Sonic has a lot of adaptations. Anyway, in 2002, he consulted Dick Entertainment about managing an animated Sonic film to serve as a continuation to the Sonic the Hedgehog TV series with him as writer. Because after 2 seasons of SatAM, the show was cancelled on a cliffhanger due to waning views. And if the internet's anything to go by, the show's now become an absolute cult classic. But the motivation to make more was here, this early, even in 2002. And so, steps were taken, and Hurst was contacted by Ken Penders, writer of the Archie comics, to hear all of Hurst's plans. Now this guy, well, I'll be honest, I'd never heard of this guy before researching this video, but he's got quite the rabbit hole to him. Copyright lawsuits, and Sonic characters with sex lives, and shameless redirecting conversations of war onto himself and his project literally the day I'm writing this. Well, he sounds like a right stand-up guy. I'm sure he won't be much of an antagonist on Ben Hurst's project. Oh, it's dead. See, the tale goes that Penders, after hearing this strategy, then turned around to SEGA claiming that Hurst was trying to co-opt the whole franchise, leading SEGA to dismiss Hurst and his proposal entirely, and subsequently stomping on any chance of SatAM getting its true ending. I don't know if it's because of this exactly or all the other dramas he keeps spouting out on Twitter, but from what I understand, pretty much everyone in the Sonic fandom antagonizes him. Well, at least we don't have to talk about him anymore. The Ken Penders project. Oh, bloody hell. Yup, this was just a stepping stone for Penders as he stomped on the opportunity to spin his own concept for a Sonic film in September 2003, titled Sonic Armageddon. In his own words, the movie would have been an origin story and a series reset, resolving the plot threads that began in the animated Sonic show. Oh, good. And continued in the Archie comic series. And being a creative himself, he was able to produce some artwork for the project. Oh my, no! He's the guy who draws the cursed Sonic arc. Look at this! Planets destroying, duplicate-looking characters, Eggman! Needless to say, it was intended to be much darker, with home planets being destroyed and robotization being much more gruesome than in the cartoon. But it would have confirmed Sonic and Sally as an official couple. Like a real piece of fanfiction. Oh, there's even a trailer for it too.
They said it was just a video game.
Yeah, okay, I think I've seen enough. Oh, there's a poorly produced animatic in it too? This was a real video pitched to SEGA? Apparently they were interested, but at this time Sonic X was airing. Hell yeah! And they didn't want a show and a movie out at the same time with different continuities. And in 2007, it was dropped entirely. Phew. This time due to corporate upheavals and the death of SEGA licensing manager Robert Leffler, who was a supporter of Penders. And so it passed. Then in 2012, another prompt popped up, with the creator of Sonic, Yuji Naka, accidentally leaking production. They were visiting Marza Studios one day and commented, "It looks like they're working on a Sonic movie." Though it turned out nothing came of it. But Marza Studios are the guys behind many Sonic game cutscenes, so it's probable this is what he was commenting on. These guys are the ones behind Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Riders, Sonic Lost World, and that one short, Sonic and the Night of the Werehog. Honestly, some of the best looks Sonic's ever had in an animated form, if you ask me. But alas, not a movie. Which finally brings us round to 2013, when Sony Pictures Entertainment acquired the rights to produce and distribute a Sonic film. Said to be a live-action animated hybrid film, it was announced on June 10th, 2014, and then Sony got hacked. It's the massive email scandal. There are loads of interesting emails cropping up, including the senior vice president of Sony Pictures calling it Sonic the Hedgehog, but then distribution switched hands. All the crew members assigned to Hedgehog stayed the same, actually, now being taken under the wing of Paramount Pictures, and well, the rest is history.
Meow?
Technically, the Sony version is its own beast, but it turned around in the end. And that's the skimmed history of Sonic's adaptation to the big screen. There's all sorts of other bits I avoided from poor sources and murmurs, and hey, these days we're eating good with the comedic Sonic Boom Show and the pleasing designs of the Sonic Mania Adventure series. Or just all the high quality cutscenes we get from the games. Sometimes. But what a tale. Everyone would eventually go in their own separate ways. Ken Penders suing SEGA in an attempt to claim his Archie comic characters and ranting at people on Twitter. Ben Hurst unfortunately died of complications relating to diabetes in 2010. And Michaeline Risley would go on to become a global activist, fighting against child abuse and trafficking. In 2019, she was thrown in prison in Zimbabwe, receiving death threats and had to flee in a separate event when her vehicle was hijacked by a gang of traffickers. What? Forget Sonic! This is the symbol of a real hero, and she helped with the delivery of PPE across the US in 2020? That's a wild ride from start to finish. What an inspiration! And on that note, my name's been Dazz. You didn't really care. Sonic Movie 2's a thing. And I'll see you all in a bit. Oh my god, what a story.